Hi, today we're going to be using some props to help stretch out the upper back, the chest, and create more space for the lungs through the upper back, ribs, and chest. These are poses that you could do perhaps at work or at home. You don't need a yoga mat. All you need is kind of a chair, like a dining room chair. You could even actually do this on the edge of a sofa. A dining room chair has got a little bit more hardness to it though. And a wall. So we're going to start with the wall, and we're going to be doing something which is often called the shoulder clock, where we're imagining our arm like the arm of a clock moving around the wall. So if you can, make your way to a wall in your house. Now you don't need a lot of space. I know lots of houses have loads of pictures on walls or bookcases. So let's say you haven't got a big wall space, but you've got a door. You can open the door, just use the door frame, and rather than moving the arm, you could walk. So that's an option. But if you can find wall space, which is going to be about this big, then that would be great. Now I'm going to stand here for the first part, so you can use your imagination, because here it's hard for you to see how close I am to the wall. Imagine this chair was the wall coming up here. My arm is against the wall here, directly next to my ear, with the shoulder dropping down. So try not to lift up, drop the shoulder down. And depending on how much tension you have in your upper body will depend on how close you are. You don't want to be so close to the wall that there's no movement or room to move the arm. So I'd say probably about a hand's length or foot away from the wall, so your arm is at a little bit of an angle against the wall. So let's do this together. You stretch your right arm alongside the wall. You have your feet underneath the creases of your hips. Lengthen the base of your spine. So there's a light tuck of the tail. Try not arch the back or lean back, pushing the ribs forwards. So gently draw the ribs down into the body so you've got that beautiful support for your lower back. And remember to relax the shoulder down away from your ears. So you stay here for 3 slow, deep breaths. As you exhale, try and relax any tension or stress that you feel in the shoulder or armpits. And once you've completed that third breath, you'll inch the fingers along the wall, taking the hand back as if you were walking to number 1 on your clock face. There might be a tendency to turn into the wall, so try and keep the chest facing forwards and allowing the shoulder to drop down away from the ears. And also really be aware of the fact that there's this tendency to want to collapse or dip, particularly if there's a lot of tightness in the chest. So keep that spine tall, tail long, lightly knitted in ribs, left arm by your side. And then once you're there, 3 slow, smooth breaths in and out. You'll be able to feel that stretch coming into the chest muscles, so the front of the chest on that right side, a little bit through the shoulder and the armpits, maybe even all the way down through the side of your back and rib cage. And then once you've completed the third breath, you again inch your fingers down a little lower till you can imagine where the number 2 on your clock face is. Hand is firm on the wall, shoulder down, tail long, ribs in, nice long neck. 3 slow, smooth breaths here. Try to relax into the stretch. Once you've completed those breaths, you walk the hand down to where you think the number 3 is on your clock face. Keep that chest facing forwards and those postural muscles supporting you, so you're not leaning in any direction. And 3 slow, deep breaths in here. Keep those shoulders sliding down the back, so you're not collapsing forwards with the chest. After that 3rd breath, inch the hands down to where you feel the number 4 is on your clock face. Root the hand, draw the shoulders down, lengthen tail, lift the ribs, and 3 slow breaths. After those 3 breaths, last round, hand down to the 5. It's now a little bit easier. Shoulders down, tail long, ribs in, heart elevated, back of the neck long. 3 slow, deep breaths. When you finish your 3rd breath, gently release the arm. Roll it out. It might feel a little achy, particularly around these chest and pectoral muscle attachments. It's quite nice actually to just lean onto your thigh and swing the arm a little bit just to release it. And then coming up into standing, and you'll feel a bit of a difference actually. This arm for some reason feels longer than the other one, but you'll feel a difference through this chest and armpit attachment. These muscles are secondary muscles to breathing, but they're very important. If they become tight and rigid, the breath becomes very shallow in this upper chest area. So let's now do the other side. So turning the other way, about a foot length away from the wall, and we'll start off with number 12. The hand is spread out on the wall, quite firm. Draw the shoulders down, lengthen the base of your spine, lightly draw the ribs into the body, arm by your side. You're facing directly forwards. Once you've settled into place, slow that breath down for 3 slow, smooth breaths. We'll then work our way down that clock face, moving the hands to the 11, number 11 on the imaginary clock. Root the hand, shoulders down. Really watch out for that tendency to shift the chest forwards or the ribs forwards. So draw the ribs into the body so that you feel the stretch in the chest rather than collapsing through the lower back. So there's that nice engagement through the core. Heart elevated, shoulders back, neck long, 3 breaths here. Then the hands walk to the number 10 on your imaginary clock. If it starts to feel too strong, you just walk slightly away from the wall so it's not as intense. You might find one side is more difficult than the other, so do be aware of how your body is and never force it. Watching out for this turning towards the wall. So if that's happening, just walk slightly away from the wall. And then again, we'll work now 3 breaths at the 10, 3 breaths at the 9, at the 8, at the 7, and then finally release. So off you go on your own. I'll keep in time with you. Just keep really centered with your body. Let that breath be smooth. Even if it's not long, let it be smooth and slow and normal. At some parts of this, you might feel a little tug or even a strong tug through the chest, which shows you that those muscles have become tight. But the more you practice this exercise, the easier this will become, and those muscles will become more elongated. They'll have more of an elasticity to them. When you reach the number 7 on your imaginary clock face, that's your last round of 3. And when you do finish that, you release the arm. Roll up the shoulder, maybe lean onto your thigh and let the arm swing. And then coming up and noticing how you feel. So you'll definitely feel some more space around this upper chest. Now we're going to use a chair. We're going to do a standing position using the chair, and then a kneeling position using the chair, and then we'll do a lying down using the chair. So we'll start with a standing position. If you can get yourself a dining room chair to use, or you could even actually use a dining room table for the standing one, any hard surface that you can hold onto that feels safe. So just be aware if you are using a chair that you don't want to pull it back, which makes it unstable. You've got your hands on the back of the chair, you walk away, trying to walk your feet underneath your hips. As you walk back, let the spine lengthen, so try not to round the back or tuck the bottom under. So if you bend your knees and pull your bottom back as if you're pushing into the wall behind you, and then you let your hands push into the chair so it's not pulling on the chair. Allow the head to frame itself between the ears. So you can see my back's long, but I'm not collapsing the back. So there's a light tuck of the tail as you pull back. Root down through your feet. Gather and lift up through your thighs. If your hamstrings are tight, you can keep your knees bent. Roll your shoulders back and down the spine. You'll feel the muscles of the back working as the tail and shoulders lengthen back. Keep the neck nice and long. And now take 5 smooth, slow breaths. Each time you exhale, feel as if you're lengthening your tail further away from the hands, but you're not pulling the hands back, so the hands stay firmly rooted. It's like you're lengthening the vertebrae further and further back away from your hands. When you finish your 5th breath, walk towards the chair and rise up, roll out the shoulders. You'll feel how that's stretched not only the upper back, but all of the spine. So it's a really nice stretch that you can do. This next one has got a similar feel to it, but it's slightly different. So now we're going to use the front of the chair and we're going to come down onto our knees. So you don't need a special yoga mat, but it would be nice to have either a carpet under your knees or a blanket. If you're using a blanket, just fold it for the knees. We're going to come down the way we did in a previous lesson, sliding down and bringing those knees down to the ground with the chair in front. If your chair is hard, you might want a little blanket here. But we're bringing our elbows and forearms to the chair and then walking the knees back like we did previously. You're trying to get the knees under the hips. So I can feel I need to adjust my blanket here, over back. So as you come into this, bring your hands into a prayer position, pointing to the sky. Your elbows and top of the sort of forehead are resting on the edge of the chair. And then you lengthen your tail back, keep the lower ribs knitted in, and there's this feeling of tail drawing towards the wall behind you with each out breath you take. So you take a slow breath in here. And as you exhale, try not dip the lower back, gather the ribs into the body and just feel the spine lengthen away from the elbows. Here you could stay for 10 breaths, so let's do that. Let's do another 9 rounds of breathing. Feeling the shoulders sliding down the back. Feeling the ribs gently knitting into the body. Sensing a stretch through the backs of the shoulders, under the armpits, in the triceps of the arms. And as you go deeper into each breath, you might start to sense the length coming into the sides of your body and down into the lower back muscles. Now make sure that you keep that tail lengthening back, not collapsing through the lower back. Five more breaths here. And when you finish all your rounds of breathing, to come out of it, you inch your knees closer to the chair, lift your head and rise up. Rolling out the shoulders. And you'll feel that lovely little stretch that's coming to the upper chest. To finish off the sequence, we're going to do a little inversion. So we're going to get our legs up and over the chair, but you need a cushion of some kind to pop underneath the lower back. So when you create a back bend in this inversion, it's going to help to stretch out the little diaphragm attachments underneath the ribs. So if you make your way to getting a cushion, I'm just going to adjust the screen a little bit. This could be done on a dining room chair or sofa. But what you need is quite a chunky pillow, maybe a couple of pillows rolled up. So the way to get onto this inversion is the pillows to the side waiting. You sit sideways onto your chair, hands behind you, and you swing your legs up and over. And you want the backs of the knees to rest on the chair. If you've got a dining room chair like mine, your feet can go through here, or you turn it sideways if the back of your chair is solid, so that you're sideways on the chair. Now, once you're there, bring your feet to the top of the chair, lift your hips up, grab your cushions, and slide underneath the sacrum of your lower back. You want the bottom fleshy bit to be over the edge of that bolster or cushion. So you feel there's an arch happening in the back, sensing I can feel I need to pull my bolster further towards my shoulder blades. So once the bolster or cushions are underneath the backs of the ribs, you feel this arching that happens in the back. The ribs push up towards the sky and your legs are gently draping over your chair. So let the arms come out by your sides, adjust, close your eyes. You could also do this pose with your legs up a wall, exactly the same thing, but legs up a wall. So it's quite nice to do that option as well. Now, once you've settled in, focus on that rib cage, feel that gentle back bend, let the lower back rest against your cushions and closing your eyes, beginning to slow down the breath. Feeling yourself breathing into those lower ribs, remembering the diaphragm attaching underneath all of those ribs. On the exhale, feel a deep, relaxing experience coming into the body here. So letting go of any gripping. See if you can lengthen the out breath. As you make that out breath longer, there's this real dropping away of effort. Don't try too hard. And staying there for 5 more breaths. When you finish that 5th breath, if you're enjoying this shape and you've got time, you could stay there for as long as you like. Otherwise, you slowly bring your feet to the edge of the chair and roll yourself carefully off your cushions. Sitting up very gently, not rushing. And then making your way back up, maybe even sitting on the chair to end the practice. So before we end completely, just pausing for a moment and closing your eyes. Noticing how you feel. So hopefully you enjoyed those stretches using the wall and the chair. Remember, you don't have to do the whole sequence in one go if you haven't got the time. You could throughout the day sporadically maybe do a wall clock, then later in the evening do a stretch on the chair, and then maybe just before bed get the legs up against the wall or on a chair. So you have an awesome day and I'll see you another time.